What's up, guys? I am covered in cat hair. Not that that's bothering anybody else but me, but I literally didn't realize how much cat hair. That being said, hello everyone, my name is Jaya. I basically am a book addict. I love to read, especially anything fiction. And so it is that time of month. It is that time of month where we film the monthly TBR. Now, if that sounds it's up your alley, you're in the right place. I typically also like to do my TBRs based on theme. So for the month of July, the theme is going to be mythology. Pretty much of every genre, more leaning towards Greek than anything else, but we have a little bit of Norse, we have a little bit of Greek, we got a little bit of Egyptian, we got a little bit of everything over here. So that is the vibes for this TBR. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for being here. For those of you that are new, my name is Jaya, and in this little corner of my portion of the internet, I like to put out all things books related. And so, without further ado, let's jump in to the video. So first and foremost, I have a book on my TBR list that has been sitting in my shelf probably for about 4 years now. That's how pathetic this is, that I have read this yet. And let me just say, I'm a Disney fanatic. Like, I grew up knowing all the Disney songs, and Megara was like my person. Honestly, all of my friends, we each had our own Disney character princess, and mine was Meg. I was always a Meg fan from the beginning, and I love every single song in Hercules, and I have yet to read Go the Distance. For those of you that don't know, this is a Twisted Tale version by Jen Calonita, and she basically takes all of our Disney classics and basically does them with a twist. So this one is called Go the Distance, and it's basically if Meg was the one who became a Greek god, then what happens? And since Meg is one of my favorite female leads of all time, it's really quite a shock that I haven't read this yet. So let's read the inside together. What if Meg had to become a Greek god? After Hercules proves he's a true hero and regains his godhood, all seems right in the world. That is, until Zeus tells Megara that she can't be with Hercules because she's, well, mortal. Luckily, Hera has a solution, offering Meg a chance to prove herself worthy of a spot on Mount Olympus as a god. All Meg has to do is complete a mysterious quest. The quest? Oh, just to rescue her ex-boyfriend's wife from the underworld. The ex-boyfriend she saved by selling her soul to Hades. The ex-boyfriend who immediately moved on to someone else while Meg was stuck in the underworld. Can Meg put her past behind her and use her quick wit to defeat monsters and gods alike, including the nefarious Hades? Will she finally figure out where she belongs and what she has to offer? Or will her fear of commitment have her running away from an eternity of godhood with Herc? And I just thought that sounds so interesting. I also love the fact that the female is the lead in this book, and I kind of love the idea of all of the plot twists that are going to go with this book, with her having to rescue this unknown ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, as well as just having to deal with the ex-boyfriend in and of itself, who is a cheater and a lowlife. So very excited to read this one. And this is the only small book that I have on my list. Everything else is quite large and in charge. I also just want to say, for the record, that should I get to them, all of the Lore Olympus books, which are right here on this shelf, I am going to try to get through all of those. Those are obviously on Webtoon. They were a comic strip that was originally started there, and then actually has been published into books, and it is all Greek mythology, because it's basically based on Hades and Persephone. So I'm going to try to go through those too, but I don't think they count as, like, for me at least, as like a chapter book vibe. It's more probably closer to like manga. And I do actually want to do a video that's dedicated to like comics and manga. I just don't know when I'm going to do it, but I have a few series that I want to complete, which is going to be Lore Olympus and Elf Quest, and there's a lot of other ones that I really just want to sink my teeth into. So I'm going to wait to read those. For anyone who was wondering why those are not on the list, that's why, because I want a dedicated not magazine, but a dedicated manga comic book vibes, anime vibes. So we'll do that a different month, but I may or may not sink my toes into that a little bit more too. Outside of that, next book on the list, we have Threads That Bind. Now this is by Kika Hatzopoulou. I am not saying that correctly. I am so sorry for butchering that. But this book is basically talking about the daughter of the Fates. So again, we're right on par with the Greek mythology here. And I am so excited to read this. This is also a Fairy Loot edition that I ended up purchasing. And I just think the book itself is so stunning. I love the fact that it has like the vibes of the fates with the planetary alignments and the starlight vibes on the painted edges. Just so pretty. And then I love the fact that our main character is standing here with the threads that connect all the different lives together. Just so cool. So this book, in the city of Alante, the descendants of the Greek gods live alongside mortals. Io is Moira born, descended from the fates. She can see threads, shimmering silver lines connecting every person. When a relationship is formed, a new thread appears. When a person's life thread is cut, it's their time to die. Io uses her gift as a private investigator, trying to make ends meet in a world which treats other born people like her with suspicion and prejudice. Then, Io is witness to a murder, but this is no ordinary murder. Io can see that the killer's life thread is severed. They should be long dead. More complicated still, there is another witness, Idai, a member of the violent Rossi mob who rule Alante. And what Io can see immediately, although Idai cannot, is that there is a bright silver fate thread connecting them. This boy is her destiny. Io and Idai are thrown together to solve the case, and as Io grapples with the dark secrets lurking beneath Alante's surface, she must decide whether to embrace her fate and give in to the feelings growing between herself and Idai, or whether to cut the thread and set him free. So I'm excited to read this one. I just think it sounds so cute. The romance, I think, will also be very intriguing in this book, so I'm just curious to see where this will take me. So that's book number 2. Book number 3 is actually the sequel to the first book, which is Hearts That Cut. And we have, again, the beautiful, beautiful painted edges. And I mean, it's just so beautiful. The book itself is just so beautiful. I love the fact, again, she's just holding that thread so casually. And I didn't actually show you guys, like, the covers, but they're also beautiful, like, with the silver etching and, oh, just so gorgeous. So, second book, Io has left the city of Alante to follow the golden threads in search of the god on the other end. Her investigation takes a turn for the worse when her only lead vanishes, but not before she gathers some crucial clues. Now a new mystery has unraveled, and all signs point to Nanzi, the Golden City, as a center of the conspiracy. But when Io uncovers a horrifying plot that traces back centuries, she realizes the future of the world rests on her shoulders. Does she have a choice, or was this simply her fate all along? I just think that sounds so fun. I'm so excited for both of these books, and I'm also excited for the very first book. They definitely feel reminiscent of like my childhood, and I just loved Greek mythology growing up, whether it was in like AP English, or it was in middle school, or even elementary school when we first got introduced to these things. I'm such a sucker for Greek mythology, and I'm so pumped to read this. Now, the next book I have on my list, I don't actually have a physical copy of, but that book would be no other than Madeline Miller's The Song of Achilles. I have read this book at some point in the past, but if I'm being quite honest, I kind of rushed through the book, so I don't truly recollect what the book was about. I know it's the story of Achilles, obviously, but I don't fully recall exactly what happened in the book, so I would like to sink my teeth into that book as well, and that I will be reading on my Nook. So I'm very, very excited to touch base on that book as well. I loved Circe. That's like a book that has embedded itself into my soul by Madeline Miller. It was so stunningly beautiful. And so I'm very, very excited to potentially get the chance to actually sit and take the time to really appreciate and enjoy The Song of Achilles. I originally read that book for school back in the day. And so like, it was one of those things where it's like, you're reading for the grade, you're kind of reading along with the class, you're not necessarily into the vibes at that time with the book. And so I feel like I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I would have. So I'm very excited now to get a chance to sit down and read that book. The next book on my list is What the River Knows. So we're actually going to take a tangential turn here and talk about some Egyptian mythology. For anyone who's a mummy lover, I am obsessed with the Mummy series, okay? Not the new ones, not the one with Tom Cruise, not a fan. And the third Mummy, I was like hit miss kind of vibes. I was not a huge fan of that. But the original two, the Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser, were excellent. I was such a fan of those movies. And when I read the description of this book and saw that it actually mentioned that movie in the description of the book, I was like, okay, I gotta read this. So this is a book by Isabel Ibanez, and she actually wrote the sequel as well, Where the Library Hides. So I'm very excited for both of these books. And again, it is very much in the realm of Egyptian mythology. So together, let's read the inside of the cover. Bolivian Argentinian Inez Oliveira belongs to the glittering upper society of 19th century Buenos Aires, and like the rest of the world, the town is steeped in old world magic that's been largely left behind or forgotten. Inez has everything a girl might want, except for the one thing she yearns for the most, her globe-trotting parents, who frequently leave her behind. When she receives word of their tragic deaths, Inez inherits their massive fortune and a mysterious guardian, an archaeologist in partnership with his Egyptian brother-in-law. Yearning for answers, Inez sails to Cairo, bringing her sketch pads and a golden ring her father sent to her for safekeeping before he died. But upon her arrival, the old world magic tethered to the ring pulls her down a path where she discovers there's more to her parents' disappearance than what her guardian led her to believe. With her guardian's infuriatingly handsome assistant thwarting her at every turn, Inez must rely on ancient magic to uncover the truth about her parents' disappearance or risk becoming a pawn in a larger game that will kill her. The Mummy meets Death on the Nile in this lush, immersive historical fantasy filled with adventure, arrivals to lovers, romance, and shocking twists and turns. Like, seriously, Agatha Christie too? Like, she talked about Agatha Christie, they talk about The Mummy. I had to read this book. And it's also been sitting on my shelf since 2023. So I think it's time. I think it's time that we pick up the book and read it. The sequel to the book, I think, picks off from where it had left off. So in this one, Inez Oliveira traveled across the world to Egypt seeking answers about her parents' recent and mysterious deaths, but all her searching led her down a perilous road filled with heartache, betrayal, and a dangerous magic that pulled her deep into the past. When Tio Ricardo issues an ultimatum about her inheritance, she's left with only one option to consider: marriage to Whitford Hayes. Former British soldier, her uncle's aide-de-camp, and one-time nemesis, Whit has his own mysterious reasons for staying in Egypt. With her heart on the line, Inez might have to bind her fate to the one person whose secret plans could ruin her. So I think this will also be an interesting read. I'm not sure how much Egyptian mythology this one's going to be steeped in, but I'm curious to see where the book will take us. And I'm also a sucker for a series. So, I mean, if I get a second book in the series, I'm definitely going to be reading it. That's kind of where I'm at. Oh, baby girl, what you doing? You want to say hi to everybody? Floof. This is my little floof tomato. Her name is Minerva Taco. Yes, it is. She's a little Minerva Taco. Because, as you can see, she looks like Minerva McGonagall in the movies, if you're a Harry Potter fan, which I'm obsessed. And she's named Taco because our other cat's name is Bella Luna. She's a beautiful, beautiful black cat, much more graceful. This one's a little floof nugget, and she's a kitten. She's only 2 years old, and she loves her mama, and she always wants all the attention, and she just wants to be cuddled and smushed. And somehow she has now become our little Taco. So this is Mini Taco, and also the reason that my sweater is covered in fur. Do you want to stay for the rest of the video, or can I finish filming? Can I finish filming, little one? Oh, you smell. You smell like cat food. Yes, you do. All right. And then moving on with Miss Tomato here, we have Hera. So going back to Greek mythology, this is basically Jennifer Saint's interpretation of the story of Hera and how she became the wife of Zeus and why she is the goddess leader of the gods, if you will. And it's kind of supposed to follow her story. So in this book, when the immortal goddess Hera and her brother Zeus overthrow their tyrannical father, she dreams of ruling at Zeus's side. But as they establish their reign on Mount Olympus, Hera begins to see that Zeus is just as ruthless and cruel as the father they betrayed. While Zeus ascends, Hera is relegated to the role of wife and mother, a role she never wanted. She was always born to rule, but must she lose herself in perpetuating this cycle of violence and cruelty? Or can she find a way to forge a better world? In this enthralling retelling, Greek mythology's most famous and maligned goddess finally tells her own story as power, passion, and divine strength collide in the heart of Olympus. So I really like the fact that Jennifer Saint likes to write all of these books that retell the story of a lot of misunderstood Greek mythology characters, specifically the women. So Ariadne was a book that I read by her back in the day, and I absolutely loved that book. I believe I also read Clytemnestra, but I can't remember when I read it. But I really enjoyed that one as well. So when I saw that in 2024, they released Hera last year, I was like, I absolutely need to pick this book up. And then I haven't really had a moment where I've just been obsessed with mythology recently. So I figured we needed a mythology team so that I could read Hera. So that's why she made the cut, and she will be read in the month of July. Next up, we have Half Sick of Shadows. This book is by Laura Sebastian, and this is actually based in the world of Camelot. So we're talking Excalibur, we're talking King Arthur, like that kind of vibe. And I absolutely love the legends in Camelot and all of the mythology like seeped inside of that universe and that world as well. I love the magic with Merlin and all that kind of stuff. Merlin the show was probably one of my favorite shows of all time. I was absolutely obsessed with that show, and I love the way that they show how the evil characters become evil, the stories of Morgana, all these things. So when I saw that this book had been released, I was like, I absolutely need to get this book. I did hear, however, that it was kind of on the sadder side, which is why I haven't picked it up yet. But I figured with it now being June currently, soon to be July of 2025, and the fact that this book came out in June 2021, it's probably time I read the book and took the plunge. So she's on our list. Everyone knows the legend of Arthur destined to be a king, of the beautiful Guinevere who will betray him and his most loyal knight, Lancelot. With his most loyal knight, Lancelot, of the bitter sorceress Morgana, who will turn against them all. But Elaine alone carries the burden of knowing what is to come, for Elaine of Shalott is cursed to see the future. On the mystical island of Avalon, Elaine runs free and learns of the ancient prophecies surrounding her and her friends, countless possibilities, almost all of them tragic. When their future comes to claim them, Elaine, Guinevere, Lancelot, and Morgana accompany Arthur to take his throne in stifling Camelot, where magic is outlawed, the rules of society chain them, and the enemies are everywhere. Yet the most dangerous threats may come from within their own circle. As visions are fulfilled and an inevitable fate closes in, Elaine must decide how far she will go to change destiny and what she is willing to sacrifice along the way. So again, I've heard this story is really beautiful, but it's also really sad. And I think at the heart of this book, it's going to be all about friendship. And I'm kind of curious to see what the story tells, with the heart of the story being told by an oracle. So I'm really, really curious to see where this book will take us. And I'm very excited to plunge into the world of Camelot and the Knights of the Round Table. Next up, we're jumping back into Greek mythology again, and that is going to be The Game Gods Play by Abigail Owen. Now, honestly, I do know the second book in this series is coming out soon. I can't remember exactly when it's being released, but if that book happens to be released in July, I will try to get to that book as well, because I would like to finish the duology. But I'm excited to read this. So basically, this is about the power play of the gods on Olympus and how it affects the world around them. So I'm very curious to see where this will go. And on the back, it says she'll fight for her life for the god of death. So obviously, our main character has to do with Hades. And I just, love these painted edges, guys. They're so freaking beautiful. Look at that. Oh my God, it's so pretty. Okay, sorry, I'm done, I promise. The gods love to play with us mere mortals, and every 100 years we let them. I have never been favored by the gods, far from it, thanks to Zeus. Living as a cursed office clerk for the Order of Thieves, I just keep my head down and hope the capricious beings who rule from Olympus won't notice me. Not an easy feat, given San Francisco is Zeus's patron city, but I make do. I survive until the night I tangle with a different god, the worst god, Hades. For the first time ever, the ruthless mercurial king of the underworld has entered the crucible, the deadly contest of the gods that they hold to determine a new ruler to sit on the throne of Olympus. But instead of fighting their own battles, the gods name mortals to compete in their stead. Does that sound about right? I think so. So why in the underworld did Hades choose me, a sarcastic nobody with a curse on her shoulders, as his champion? And why does my heart trip every time he says I'm his? I don't know if I'm a pawn, bait, or something else entirely to this dangerously tempting god. How can I, when he has more secrets than stars in the sky? Because Hades is playing by his own rules, and death will win at any cost. So I'm very curious to where this book is going to take us. I have a gut feeling that this is the story of Persephone, or potentially even the daughter of Hades and Persephone, but I don't know for sure because I haven't read it. But I'm very curious to read it, and I'm very excited to read it, and I really, really hope the second book in the series is also released while I'm reading this so that I can just jump into that next book as well. But there you have it, Abigail Owen's The Games Gods Play. Next up, I have Blood of Hercules. This is the story of a young woman who is basically the descendant of Hercules and happens to have his blood running through her veins, and she is going to be put through torments and trials in order to achieve her best. This book is written by Jasmine Moss. It is also the book that was selected as our winner for July's read with my book club on Facebook. If anyone is interested in joining, it's called the Overbooked Book Club. You just need to basically join the group. Our admin team will let you in. And as soon as you're in, you're all set. We basically talk all things books on that particular page on Facebook. And then we also do monthly meetups to discuss a book of our choice that we have voted on at the beginning of the month. So for example, in June is our classic month. So we're going to be reading The Goldfinch this month, which I'm about a quarter of the way through. That book has been very powerful so far. The book by Donna Tartt, it is absolutely phenomenal. So similarly, in July, we are doing Greek mythology, which is also what inspired me to come up with this list of books, if I'm being honest. But Blood of Hercules is our book of choice. So I'm very excited to read it. This book also has its sequel coming out soon, so I'm curious to see what that book will entail. But this is the special edition copy, and I'm obsessed with this book and the cover and the pages, and it's just so gorgeous. But yeah, very excited. Let's talk about it. I'm struggling to survive in a Titan-infested world where Spartans, immortals from 12 royal families who have godlike powers and obscene wealth, rule over all. A shy, stammering foster child with nothing, I keep my head down, cover my scars, and focus on excelling in school. At least I try to. Then it happens. My blood test reveals I'm part of the powerful elite. I'm one of them, a Spartan. Forced to attend the Spartan War Academy, I undergo the most harrowing test of all time to see if I have what it takes to be an immortal. There's just a few problems. Achilles and Petro are my scary mentors. Charon, the ferryman of death, and Augustus, the son of war, are my terrifying professors. Also, I'm pretty sure either someone's stalking me everywhere I go or my sanity's slipping. I have a bad feeling both are true. I'm surrounded by villains, and they're smothering me with their hate, obsession, and dark possessiveness. Too bad for them, they have no clue just who they're messing with. I'm just a girl, and it turns out I'm Hercules. So excited for this book. Like, I cannot even explain how excited I am for that book. I also happen to get 2 books from Fairy Loot. These books will also be showing up in another video soon where I do talk about what I got myself for my birthday. And the names of the books are Never a Hero as well as Only a Monster Can Kill a Hero. And these are by Vanessa Len. I don't want to show you the beauty of the actual books themselves yet because I'll save that for the birthday video. But I am so excited and pumped to get into these books. I believe Only a Monster is the first book in the series, and it is, of course, set in Greek mythology. It should have been the perfect summer. Sent to stay with her late mother's eccentric family in London, 16-year-old Joan is determined to enjoy herself. She loves her nerdy job at the historic Holland House, and when her super cute coworker Nick asks her on a date, it feels like everything is falling into place. Then a good Samaritan attempt gone wrong sends Joan spinning through time, and her life quickly begins to unravel. Her family aren't just eccentric, they're monsters with terrifying hidden powers. And Nick isn't just a cute boy, he's a legendary monster slayer who will do anything to bring them down. As she battles Nick, Joan is forced to work with the beautiful and ruthless Erin Oliver, heir to a monster family that hates her own. She'll have to embrace her own monstrousness if she's to save herself and her family, because in this story, she is not the hero. And then on the back it says, don't forget the rule, no one can know what we are, what you are. You must never tell anyone about monsters. So that is Only a Monster Can Kill a Hero. And then we have Never a Hero, which is the second book in the series. And this one continues with, Despite the odds, Joan achieved the impossible. She reset the timeline, saved her family, and destroyed the hero. But her success has come at a terrible cost. She alone remembers what happened. Now Erin, her hard-won friend, and maybe more, is an enemy, trying to kill her. And Nick, the boy she loved, is a stranger who doesn't even know her name. Only Joan remembers that there is a ruthless and dangerous enemy still out there. When a deadly attack forces Joan back into the monster world as a fugitive, she finds herself on the run. As the danger rises and Nick gets perilously closer to discovering the truth of what Joan did, Joan discovers a secret of her own, one that threatens everyone she loves. Torn between love and family and monstrous choices, Joan must find a way to regather her old allies and face down the deadliest of enemies and to save the timeline itself. The sequel to Only a Monster will take Joan deeper into the monster world, where treacherous secrets and even more danger await. I'm very excited for both of these books. I think they're going to be so cute, and I'm pumped. I'm pumped to read them. The actual books themselves are spellbindingly beautiful, and I will share those in another video. Then we have, continuing our Greek mythology vibes, the primary theme of these books is going to be Greek mythology, and that is Clytemnestra. This book is by Constanza Casati, and I'm very, very excited to read it. I also realized I mentioned this name earlier in the book when I was talking about Jennifer Saint. That was not correct. I think the book that Jennifer Saint wrote was Electra, and I did like that one. Clytemnestra. Here we go. Monarch, mother, murderer, magnificent. You are born to a king, but you marry a tyrant. You stand by helplessly as he sacrifices your child to placate the gods. You watch him wage war on a foreign shore, and you comfort yourself with violent thoughts of your own. Does this sound like a healthy marriage? Yeah, it sounds about right for Greek mythology. Because this was not the first offense against you. This was not the life you ever deserved. And this will not be your undoing. Slowly, you plot. When your husband returns in triumph, you become a woman with a choice. Acceptance or vengeance. Infamy follows both. So you bide your time and force the god's hand in the game of retribution. For you understood something long ago that the others never did. If power isn't given to you, you have to take it for yourself. A blazing novel set in the world of ancient Greece and told through the eyes of its most notorious heroine, this is a thrilling tale of power and prophecies, of hatred, of love, and of an unforgettable queen who fiercely dealt out death to those who wronged her. I'm very, very, very excited for this book. I love all of these Greek retellings that basically tell the story of the female characters as protagonists and also explain some of their actions and kind of give a voice to their characters. Something that I feel like has never really been done as much before until this more modern era. And I'm just so pumped to read this book. Next up, I have The 13th Child. This is by Erin A. Craig. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure if this is truly mythology, but from my understanding, there are multiple children and they each have patron gods. And this particular child happens to be promised to the god of death, and death will win at no cost. So because of this, I'm assuming it might be Greek mythology. It could also be Roman themed. I'm not 100% sure, but I have a feeling it's going to be on the darker side. We'll see. We'll see. Inside the book, it says, Hazel Trapaz has always known she wasn't like her siblings. A 13th child, promised to one of the gods. She spends her childhood waiting for her benefactor, Merrick, the god of death. Actually, I have no idea what god that is. Let's see if we can't figure it out real quick. Because I, my dears, am curious. Merrick, god, death. Interesting. So it says he's not actually a true god of death or a figure associated with death. The dreaded end, where Merrick is seen as the god of death, is apparently made up. So my bad. This one just kind of snuck its way in then. Maybe we won't get to this one. We'll save this one as the last book that I read this month if I do get to it. Because I was fully convinced that when they talked about the god of death that this had to do with some type of mythology. That is 100% my fault for not researching more carefully. But now that we've started reading it, let's go ahead and finish it. So Hazel Trapaz has always known she wasn't like her siblings. A 13th god promised to one of the gods. 13th child promised to one of the gods. She spends her childhood waiting for her benefactor, Merrick, the god of death, to arrive and take her away. When he does, he lays out exactly what he's planned for Hazel's future. She will become a great and celebrated healer. To aid her endeavors, Merrick blesses Hazel with a gift, the ability to instantly deduce the exact cure needed to treat the sick. but all gifts come with a price. Hazel can see when death has claimed a patient and is tasked with ending the suffering permanently. Haunted by the ghosts of those she's killed, Hazel longs to run. But destiny brings her to the royal court, where she meets Leopold, a rakish prince with a disdain for everyone and everything. And that's where Hazel faces her biggest dilemma yet. Should she save the life of a king marked to die? Hazel knows what she is meant to do and what her heart is urging her toward. But what will happen if she goes against the will of death himself? From the astonishing mind of Erin A. Cray comes the breathtaking fairy tale retelling readers have been waiting for. What does a life well lived mean? And how do we justify the impossible choices we make for the ones we love? And I think that's what confused me when they talked about a fairy tale retold, because I was like, is it Greek then? Is it a Greek mythology that's being retold? Now I'm not so sure. Sorry about that, guys, but we'll see what the book has in store for us. This is from December of last year. I'm actually very excited to sink my teeth into it. It has been winking at me since it's been sitting on my bookshelf. So knowing me, I'm probably going to read it anyways, because I still feel like it'll tie in well with the vibes of this month. But again, I do have quite a few books on the TBR list, so this one may or may not be picked up at a different time, but we'll see. The last book on the list is Norse mythology influenced. This is the second book in A Curse Inked in Blood, which no, that's not what it was called. What was the first book called? Why am I blanking? A Fate Inked in Blood. That was a Norse mythology themed book. I absolutely loved it. And it was actually a book that we read together as a group in our book club. And I gave that book a solid 5 stars. It was amazing. I thought about it for weeks after I read it. And I'm so excited that the sequel is finally here. And I'm curious to see where this book will take us. So here we go. The secret of her divine heritage revealed, Freya finds herself on a path that will see thousands of lives lost to the magic in her blood. Desperate to avoid this dark fate, she risks an alliance with Skaland's greatest enemy to seek answers from the seer who foretold her future, the same seer who sent Bjorn to kill her. While Freya still seethes with rage over Bjorn's betrayal, the blood oaths that bind her demand that she keeps him close as she hunts for a way to avert the looming war. Her magic draws her to the front lines of an old enmity, embroiling her with Nordland's unfated children of the gods who serve the king she was raised to fear. The same king who, unlike Bjorn, is now willing to fight at her back. For despite the desire that burns hot between Bjorn and Freya, his growing distrust of her chosen path threatens to drag them further apart. As war approaches, gods and mortals must choose their weapons, yet the fiercest battle will be the one Freya wages within herself. With the magic of 2 goddesses burning in her veins, she must weave the threads of destiny to decide her own fate. Will she be the shield that protects her people, or the curse that destroys them? Again, strong female character lead, morally gray characters, interesting situations that are happening on the verge of war, betrayal, love, all of it. I'm just here for it. I'm so excited for this book. And to BH, I might actually start with this one just because it is a sequel to a book that I've read previously. And I really want to finish it. The series is a duology. And so I do know that this will end the series, and I realize that also makes me a little bit sad, but at the same time, I just got to know what happened. Fate Inked in Blood, again, I think was an absolutely amazing book. This book is by Danielle L. Jensen, and I would strongly recommend reading the first book first, and I'm so excited to hop into this one. And that brings us to a conclusion for this video. If you guys made it this far, thank you for hanging out. As you can see, I am very excited to start my mythology journey apparently this summer. And I'm so excited to just sit down and read all of these books in July. I have also realized that there are other books that may end up also joining the TBR and being switched out depending on releases that come out. The Hercules book, I believe, is only coming out in October, so I won't be reading the sequel very soon. The what is it called again? The Games Gods Play. The Games Gods Play sequel, I don't remember if it's coming out in the summer or if it's coming out later in the fall, but I'm also very excited to see if that makes the cut. But in general, just so excited for these books and so excited for this month. I think it's just going to be such a fun month of reading, especially after going through the eclectic nature that was June. This past month has been a whirlwind of books, lots of romance books, lots of like random standalones that basically I felt like I had to read because they'd just been sitting there winking at me. And I read a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, dark dystopian type of books in the course of end of like April and all of May. So I just needed a break. I needed something fluffy and happy. And now that I've kind of been getting that through the June books, I'm very excited to dive back into this world of mythology. And I think the fun thing about mythology is it's so cultural. And it just speaks to so many of the unique phenomenons that happen in the world. And the human mind is just such a curious thing in terms of cultivating all these stories that describe why things are happening, and this idea of fate and destiny and things beyond us that we can't control that also at the same time bind us together. And I just think that's so beautiful. So I'm very, very excited to see where this set of books takes us with these modern interpretations of these concepts, also bringing in just a fun fantasy vibe as well as these intriguing concepts of romance and like high stakes. So we'll see where all the mythology takes us. Come join me as I join and enter into a world of Egyptian and Greek and Arthonian or Camelot vibes, and finally into Norse mythology. It's going to be a great ride. Once again, thank you for being here. For those of you that are new, my name is Jaya. I put out videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday for bookish related content. And if this was interesting to you, if it sounds like it's your vibe, I love all things books, and I would love to have you be a part of our reading community. I love all the comments. I love the communications. I love the fact that this group is just so loving and kind, and it's just such a great way to explore such wonderful, wonderful worlds together. So if that sounds like it's up your alley, definitely consider hitting that notification bell and that subscribe button so that you never miss out. And for those of you that are returning, thank you for being here. Honestly, truly, from the bottom of my heart, it means the world to me to have you guys here. It is so special to see that other people enjoy reading just as much, and to see even more so that people actually enjoy discussing books with me. I love them. I'm passionate about them. And I feel like a lot of my friends in my real life love to read, and it's so much fun to discuss books with them too. But this community has just been so wonderful and so accepting, and I've just had such a blast talking all things books with you guys. So without further ado, I am going to end this video and leave you guys with wherever you are, whether it's morning, evening, or night. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I very much look forward to talking all things books with you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.